Yo, I'm back today. I'm so excited today. I mean, first of all, let me say to my Somali people, set the high. And to everyone else, hey, yo, how you doing? What's good? Depending on wherever you at. But set the high is a greeting that is used in the Somali language. And today I'm so excited, yo. I'm so excited to talk about the Ajuran Kingdom of Somalia. Even some Somalians don't even know that this kingdom existed. That's why it's so important to know your history. But I'm so excited to talk about the Ajuran Empire and Kingdom of Somalia. Now, the Ajuran Empire and Kingdom of Somalia was actually from the 1300s all the way up to the 1700s. And the Ajuran was a successful empire that was part of the Somali history that was basically like a hydraulic empire. So they, ran the water system and was actually one of the only hydraulic empires in East Africa at that point. But they basically controlled the water system and the water ducts, which made them very, very powerful as well as having a grasp on agriculture. And they were very, very much not a joke. The Ajuran Empire was tried by many countries to, be taken over. Some other African countries were trying to take over Ajuran at the time, especially the Oromo of Ethiopia, southern Ethiopia. And the most notable were the Portuguese. The Portuguese tried for so long to take over Ajuran, and it was very hard for them because Ajuran was a very, very powerful kingdom with a very powerful navy and just very tech savvy, very agricultural savvy, and just very smart with their taxation and their monopoly on the goods like gold, camels, horses, barley, wheat, just all kind of, precious golds and gems and rubies and all kind of natural resources that they had at the time. So the Ajuran Empire was actually, like I said, it was a hydraulic empire. So the Juba rivers were very, very important to them, and they also constructed many like limestone wells that the water actually ran through. So they were very advanced when it came to the water system and the water ducts and the hydraulic, water systems that basically funded their successful kingdom, So there's still some of the limestones that are there are still in use today. People that are still using them, and the rulers that developed the system, the agriculture and the taxations. I'm rushing here. Taxations, are still used or was still used in parts of Africa until like around the 18 to 1900s, somewhere around there. So one thing about the Ajuran Empire that we need to understand is that it controlled its region like very well. Effectively held like a monopoly on the nomadic people. So basically, the Ajuran would act as a mediator. So let's say, for instance, the nomadic people, nomads meaning people that move from place to place, that didn't stay in the same place long. The nomad people would come from all over, from Ethiopia, from parts of Somalia, and parts of different parts of Africa. And obviously, to a nomad, water means a lot to everybody, but water meant the most because to nomads, they survived off of their livestock, meaning camels, any kind of cattle that they had, goats, things like that. So if you had, a big supply of water, and it was for sure supply that would always be there, and it was controlled by you, then you could basically govern the nomads. So a lot of the kings of the Ajuran Empire basically were the mediators for the nomads. So when the nomads would come there and have a bicker inside of the kingdom, whether not mattering if they were from outside the kingdom or inside the kingdom, if there was a bickering, the empire and the government would act as a mediator and basically get that problem solved. So there was very, very much tons of power just off the nomadic people in general that came and stayed in the empire, as well as the population that was already there. So excuse me, I'm sort of talking really, really fast today. So, anywho, to move on about it, you know, there were definitely different parts of the head of the government. So I'm going to try to pronounce these. So all my Somali people, please do not kill me, because I don't even know if this is going to be right. Obviously, Somali is not my first language, but I will definitely try. So I'm going to say the Somali word for it first, and I'm going to say what it meant. So Imam, which meant the head of state. Obviously, that was the person that was over the head of the state. The Emir, which was the commander of the armed forces in the Navy. Let's see, this one's going to be hard. Naibs, which is the viceroys. The wazirs, which is the tax and revenue collectors, and the quadis, chief judges. Yo, I tried. What can I say? Anybody can correct me if they want and let me know how you really say it, but I tried the best I can. But basically, those were there was a head of state, there was a commander of armed forces in the Navy, there was the viceroys, and there also was the tax revenue and the chief judges. So they had a very well very well established government and kingdom, and they were very, very intelligent in what they did. They basically had the limestone and other natural resources that were just very abundant for them, and they were something that created very, very immense wealth for the Ajuran Empire. So, with the livestock of the nomads being brought in and all the exotic animals, the Ajuran and basically the Somali Empire, like I said, which is known as Ajuran, was the first traders with China. Like, China was very interested in the Somali Empire, and they had so much business together. They were very, very close, and basically Ajuran as an empire in Somalia would trade with China and actually would go back and forth during the Ming Dynasty, which is something that I knew nothing about, which I don't understand why this is not taught in classes and not taught in. This stuff should be taught, and it's sad, really. I mean, it really is sad, but that's why we're here to decode it and break it down and to say that we do have history. Black people do have tons of history. So the rulers of the Ajuran was trading with the Ming Dynasty in China. The Ming Dynasty loved African things. They loved the giraffes, the exotic animals, the elephants, the gold, just all kind of stuff that the Ming Dynasty was very good trading partners back and forth. So these Somalis were back and forth from Asia, obviously in the Middle East as well, and also back and forth from Europe and other African countries. So this is something that must be noted, that the Somali Empire, the Ajuran of the Somali country, this empire, was very powerful and very, very effective in trading and gold and commerce and merchants, and had a very, very strong army and naval too. Excuse me. So the way that they also funded their empire, other than having a big agricultural sector, and also having natural resources, abundant natural resources, and throughout trade and gaining currency that way, and revenue that way. They also had a taxation system where they obviously would tax the people that lived in the kingdom. Obviously, it's just a simple thing. You have a kingdom, everyone must pay. So with the taxation of the farmers, they harvest things like bun and dura, and if I'm saying that right, and sorghum, if I'm saying that right too. And these were the taxations that was collected. And now, obviously, every form of taxation, I cannot get that word right today. Taxation was collected. So some people would pay in the currency of the Ajuran Empire. Some people would, give camels and goats, and some people would give, also just whatever they had, whatever it might have been, spices, gold, whatever it might have been. Especially a lot of foreign traders that came, that were inside of Ajuran. Obviously, you can't be here unless you're gonna pay up. And not necessarily that they were that mean, but it was just that it was basically the passport of the time. If you got accepted into the kingdom and you're going to be there for a couple months or a couple weeks to do business, you have to pay taxes just like everybody else, because we got to keep this kingdom running, and it ain't free to live around here, which is everywhere. That's how everywhere it was. But you could pay in any kind of currency that was possible. And this is one of the reasons that made the empire very, very powerful, because it wasn't just I don't want to say that other empires weren't like that, but basically they would accept anything that was useful to the empire, which I think is very smart. Not that any empires are too much different, but some empires get very cocky and they're like, oh, we're not going to accept this, or we don't do this, whatever, blah, blah. So to understand how big of an empire they were, how powerful they were, between the Ottoman Empire, actually the Ottoman Empire at the time were very, very close partners with Ajuran, and the Somalis. And the Ottoman Empire were actually doing business with the Somali Empire, and they were very close friends. They actually battled the Portuguese together. The Portuguese, obviously, as we know, was a European powerhouse, along with Spain, that was had one of the best navies, outside of Spain, and they were basically trying to take over all of Southeast Africa and East Africa and North Africa, as far as the scramble for the African continent, the European colonization periods, which lasted for a couple hundred years, and that's probably why Africa's in the state that it's in today, or one of the major reasons, if not the only reason, that Africa is in the state that it is in today, which is getting better. But Portugal wanted Ajuran. They wanted Ajuran so much, like they wanted it badly, because they were conquering all these southeastern African countries, and they could not penetrate Ajuran. But at one point, Portuguese did get into some of the major cities on the coast and borders, and they did try to burn them down, loot them, and things like that. But with the help of Ajuran and the help of the Ottoman Empire linked together, they quickly defeated the Portuguese once again, after Ajuran had kept them out for so long. And they were very, 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 very advanced in aqueducts, like I said, limestone, currency. They had their own currency as well. The currency was introduced, I would like to say, in the 1400s or something like that. And the currency, obviously, when the kingdom became so big, they created their own currency. So therefore, that meant self-sustaining, of the economy, and showed to other countries and kingdoms that, hey, we're a force to be reckoned with, because we even have our own money. Whenever you have your own money, not that that's the main key factor, but whenever you have your own money and they see a thriving kingdom, that means, you're doing pretty good for yourself, and you can probably fund yourself self-sufficiently. So, in addition to that, a lot of other countries wanted, and did trade with Ajuran. Like I said, the Ming Dynasty, which is one of the biggest, notes to me that even I didn't know, which was crazy to me, but I'm so glad that I learned that now. But the Ming Dynasty, other African countries, the African Egyptians were definitely noting and has said that, Ajuran, or as they consider Somalia, and maybe more so different parts of Somalia. It's debatable now, because different parts of Somalia is gone and taken, and some come back from time to time. That's another story. But basically, around that area of Somalia, it was called the land of Punt, or the Punt Kingdom, and that was basically like the Egyptians were always going there because they thought it was God's land, and they thought it was very, very rich in natural resources and all kind of things. So the Egyptian is very well known, the Somalis are very well noted in Egyptian history, and to me, I myself personally guarantee that the Somali clans and Ethiopia and a lot of East African, North Africans were the original Egyptians. That's who I think, because the Nile River is right there, and it just only makes sense to me. But some people might debate me on that. But back to the Ajuran Empire, the Egyptians were very, very aware of them and loved going to Ajuran in the land of Punt, and they loved it. They loved Somalia. It was a beautiful place. It's not the Somalia that known on TV for the last 100 years that has been disrupted by Italy and Portugal and started all this war. It was a very beautiful place. I still think it's a beautiful place, but some people are just scared and they just don't know, and they're brainwashed, and they just think whatever they see is like, oh, whatever. But to look at the people and look at the culture and how ancient it is something that should be noted. And also, before I leave you, I also didn't know that I'm gonna try this too. This is a word that I don't know if it's gonna come out right or not. And my Somali people, please let me know. There was a Somali martial arts that was created during the Ajuran Empire, which is something that was really like mind-boggling to me, right? I love finding out about black fighting styles like capoeira in Brazil, you know, the Afro-Brazilian fighting style, and now this. So it's called, if I say it right, it's Tanka. I don't know if that's right, but please, Somali people, tell me. And it's also known as Dabshid. Let me try my best Somali. Dabshid, right? Or Setahai. So anyways, today, brothers and sisters, that was a new empire that you learned about called Ajuran, and it's a Somali empire. I'm so happy to share this with you. I'm so pleased with the feedback from all my brothers and sisters around the world, and just make sure you understand that I will always touch on every black civilization. I'm in Somalia today. Next time I might be in Portugal with the black people, or I might be in in Argentina, or I might be in South Africa. So you never know what video I'm going to make, and my videos are always going to be different. So one day it could be about hip hop, the next day it could be about economics, the next day it could be about a tribe. It's all about black history and black economics, and sticking together and learning together and going towards the new generation, as I like to call, coming out of the dark ages, or the time period of when we were being suppressed of knowledge for the last 600-700 years. And it's time for us to rejoin each other and to create a African union, a real African union. And I know some people might get that joke. If not, if you don't know what the African Union is, then maybe you'll learn about it. But it's time for us as black people to come back together and stop the division. So today you learned about the Ajuran Empire, and I hope that this has pierced your soul, pierced your spirit to learn more. And there will be more videos that I'll bring to you. And to all my Somali people, I love y'all so much. I always be eating basto and bris. I'll be going down to the Somali restaurant. You know what I'm saying? Me and my Somali cat be chopping it up. You know what I'm saying? It's all one love. We all black. We all stick together. We all talk to each other. And I love, what else do I love? I love basto and bris. And I also love sheh. Oh man. When I had a Somali girlfriend one time, she used to bring me sheh. I used to love sheh. And then I actually had a Somali girlfriend down in Atlanta too at one point, and she made it like the way that I never seen it before. She put it in like foil and just crushed the cinnamon and all that, man. Beautiful. But anyways, to all my black people, I love you all around the world. All my African people, I love you. One love, and be safe. I'm out.
No one knows the secret.
guudiyo danahaaga gaarka intaan soo gudbinayan taydii ka gaabshay howlahaaga guudiyo danahaaga gaarka howlahaaga guudiyo danahaaga gaarka intaan soo gudbinayan taydii ka gaabshay abaalkii aan ku galay waxba adiga oon ka gudin gafkayga kahaymin iyo godobtan boosniya waa laba gudboono garowshii wahaye abaalkii aan ku galay waxba adiga oon ka gudin gafkayga kahaymin iyo godobtan boosniya waa laba gudboono garowshii wahaye golihii barbaato